the industry that we're in now, like it really sits on like a global standard. So the people that are investing a lot of the money are not Nigerians. They are not they're not like a lot of local players. They're global players.
Right.
So things are done to a global standard a lot of the time because they have to make their money. They have to get their money back one way or the other. So things are done, with that standard. So I think it's abreast with the rest of the world. And again, it's really up to you to go and get your royalties. And work with the right people to make sure that what you have is attributed to you and stuff like that.
Hello. Welcome to an episode of ALPTalks. This episode is in honor of World IP Day coming up on the 20th of April. And it's World IP Day is an initiative by the World Intellectual Property Organization, also called WIPO, which is to raise awareness about just how important IP is to creators, to innovators, and how it's such an important part of everyday life. And the theme this year is IP and music, feel the beat of IP. So, to discuss music and IP, we have a very special guest with us today, Ajebutter22. He is a rapper and singer based in Lagos, Nigeria. He is known for his witty lyrics, his blend of alter music, Afrofusion, and he has had hits from Omo Pastor to 3 EPs that have been collaborative works called Making No Cause Fights, to his most recent album, which is Soundtrack to the Good Life. We're excited to have him here today to discuss just how IP has helped the music industry in Nigeria and helped his journey so far in the Nigerian music industry.
Yeah.
I think one of the most inspiring royalty stories I've ever heard is that at the time, the boy who sang in Disney's Lion King, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, Disney wanted to pay him $2 million upfront. And him and his mom negotiated that actually they would take 100,000 upfront and then the rest in royalties. And he has now considered that he's made so much more
That's crazy.
He has surpassed that 2 million.
Yeah.
Because he took what looked like
a bet on.
Yeah, he took a bet on like this is Disney. Hopefully it will be successful. And Lion King is like extremely successful.
Yeah.
They've now made live action. It has how many sequels? And I think it's such an interesting concept of just how it's a risky thing, but in long term it does pay off.
Yeah. I mean, that's more like a business decision. But as shout out to you, bro, like for having that foresight, to you and your family for having the foresight. But again, Disney with the distribution, it should work. But again, it could have flopped. But I mean, Lion King, chill.
But I think obviously as it's interesting because he was so young. I think because he had his parents' influence. But I think the average person, I tell you, I give you $2 million now.
Exactly.
Is a very tough.
As in, big bro. Walt. My bro Walt.
Run my check.
Run my check,
Yeah, that's where IP comes in. This is what makes it such a fascinating.
But I think that even if you should always still have a little bit of upside. When I say this, especially to like producers, you should always still have a little bit of upside. Take some splits. Don't always, some people, especially some people just want to get that bar up front and just dip. And that's also because sometimes it's not easy to collect their money, their royalties. Do you get?
Yeah.
So that's another thing to consider. But I'll always advise people to take splits. If you can, if you're in a position where you don't need money upfront, like right now, take some splits because you're betting on yourself and you never know where your music can go to. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe 30 years later, people are still singing I Can't Wait to Be King.
Exactly.
So, for a lot of people, IP, as I think that's what we have definitely said, IP is a very technical, abstract concept of this intangible material. But as a result of that, piracy, I think a lot of people don't think they're harming anybody by buying pirated music. So what is your response to people who say piracy is a victimless crime?
It's a victimless crime. Hmm. Well, obviously, if you're pirating something like music, you are definitely shortening the rationale of the person that is creating it. That being said, I'm just gonna be real with you. The reality things on ground is that people are going to pirate music unless it's easier for them to get it the legitimate way. And this is what I used to say to people before streaming became a thing in Nigeria. Because there was still a time where in like places like Europe and US there were like streaming platforms, but Nigeria there were not streaming platforms because it was difficult for people to pay, and also the internet penetration wasn't the internet wasn't quite good enough yet for people to stream well. And people were arguing with me that the reason why Nigerians were getting music illegally was because it was expensive. And I'm like, no, it's not because it's expensive, it's because it's inconvenience. At the time, like it was like this is of course a lot across the way there'll be some people that can't afford it, but there's also a lot of people that can afford it, but it's just inconvenient to pay for it when your cards are not working, when the internet is not good. Like, why won't I just go and download it and have it offline, or have one guy that's already downloaded it and just send it to me via like USB or with a memory card that time, and stuff like
In the age of LimeWire.
One person to do all the downloads and just like transfer to somebody else. And that's, like
Bluetooth phone.
Thank you. That's how it was. In fact, there used to be like places that you go to. One person has downloaded all the songs for the week, and then you just and then that's what was going on. But as even the whole Alaba market idea, like it's distribution that really determines how people receive music. And if the distribution is through a paid channel, and that is the best and most convenient way, then that's what people would do.
Okay. So as a player in the industry, you think piracy is not as rampant because it's now more accessible through legitimate platforms?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We don't even have like that many of the websites that people used to go and like download music. Most people like stream now. They don't really like go and be downloading songs like before. Before you had like not just okay, you had Too Exclusive, you had all those platforms that people go to like literally. In fact, artists will send their music there so that you can download this illegally.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they're gaining more from your song
just to be just more famous.
Yeah, just to be more famous and perform at shows.
Because the revenue is the shows, yeah. So.
Exactly.
Interesting. But so were you in the group of people who used to go onto not just okay.com, or were you Twitter and legitimate only on Twitter?
I mean, like literally, artists would literally just post the download link to their songs. So I mean, you couldn't really say that don't do that. But I mean, as early as I could, I got on streaming platform. But when I was younger, I had LimeWire like mad. Jordan Sparks on Chris Brown. You understand? Yeah,
Yeah, I think it does come with, as you said, like as with growth, like as I've come in my journey with IP law. I remember like growing up in traffic, they used to sell those DVDs that had 25 movies.
For sure, yeah.
I didn't know at the time that this is a crime. But now,
is it a crime? Yeah.
Yes. And low key, you're taking money from somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's inconvenient. I think with like creative output, so movie, books, TV, music, because we think we want to consume it and we think, oh, so is making so much money from my little download won't disturb them.
Exactly.
But I think I read an article. It was an old filmmaker who had put so much money into his film, and if the film was great, it was a huge success, but it was all from pirates copies. So he actually went broke because he was like, yes, my film was in every market, it was being sold, but they weren't coming from me, so I lost all my money.
Crazy.
So
yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
But I think with technology, stuff like that is getting better. There'll come a point where every piece of everything that's been created by somebody will have like a digital signature where, I mean, finances should be attributed to that thing, and everywhere that thing is like copied or whatever can kind of like trace back to the original.
I think that extends what blockchain is doing, but I'm not going to go too deep.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where you'd find the use of like actually NFTs and the blockchain. So that, being able to do that, and I think that will reach a point where at least, creators will be, at least the origin of everything, everything that's created digitally will be able to be traced. Yeah.
Have you faced any challenges in asserting your rights over your music? And do you think the industry / I know you said that you don't really like the legal system is not really, but in what ways do you think there could be more support for you as an established artist, but also for younger upcoming artists?
So there's, I think, some of the things that can change is, simplifying things. Platforms like this again, but simplifying things, demystifying IP, demystifying law in general, demystifying contracts, having more accessibility to people. A lot of people feel like, oh, I can't afford a lawyer. I can't afford to sue somebody who's taking advantage of me, and so on and so forth. So, if things like that were more accessible, more affordable, and easier to understand, people would, would definitely be quicker on board to stuff like that.
So what would demystifying contracts or IP look like? What do you think?
In terms of contracts, just literally making them
just plain English.
I guess. No. I mean, from my own point of view, I think so. I mean, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but yeah, I read a lot of things. I'm like, why is this thing so long? But I mean, there's a reason. But if a lot of those things could be simplified, if they could be easily accessible, yeah, I think it'll really help. It'll go a long way. It's so funny, yeah. Like people that are, I think, deep in an industry, any industry, whatever it is, they underestimate how, I guess, complicated what they do on a day-to-day basis can seem to someone that doesn't do it at all. True. So, like, if you came to a studio and you don't go to the studio normally, right? And I told you to ordinarily just record me. Right.
Yeah. I would be struggling.
Exactly. We wouldn't know what to do. But to me, it's like, yeah, this is so.
Next thing, the machine is making noise.
Exactly. Oh, I tell you, I bring a mic, I bring headphones, I have a monitor, I have an interface. Oh, yeah, set it up. Like that, it won't take me like up to a minute to set it up, right?
We'll be here for 3 days. Exactly. Just trying to connect.
So think about that in terms of like how you probably see like contracts or how you probably see like IP law and stuff like that. Someone that doesn't read that on a day-to-day basis will be like, oh, Jesus Christ, this again. But
what is it?
It's their livelihood, yeah, but it's still complicated. Yeah, but somebody that does it every day is like, yeah, this is straightforward.
I think, like I said, I think it's a tough line to line. I do agree. It's like some contracts that we receive and we get, just like, why is this thing 15 pages?
Yeah.
But then sometimes, genuinely, you do need to ensure there's a lot of information packed in, and it depends on what it is for. Yeah. Because as a lawyer, your aim is your client's interest.
Yeah, you can't like leave all the gray areas or anything.
Any gray area, because what happens if someone else reads it? It has to be a thing where there cannot be any misunderstanding that, oh, if you cut it this way, it needs to be as clear as possible. So sometimes you need to say if, but, when, but, furthermore, subject. So sometimes, definitely, I agree that we could, as lawyers, we could reduce the legalese to an extent. But I think, as you said, just trying to maybe not teaching legalese, but explaining that, okay, this legalese is there for a reason. Just read it.
Yeah, nobody thinks that. Nobody's saying that it's not there for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, but I think, I wish there were, I don't know, this might be something that already exists, but I wish there was like a block of rules or systems that, artists use, and it's like, oh, if we say, let's say, Onicon system, it means like these 5 things are there, or these 10 things are there. So people don't have to read it. No,
they know that this is
this system or something. I don't know.
No, I get what you mean. That's just clear that when I see that, I know automatically what comes with it.
Exactly.
sure one day we'll get there.
Maybe.
Because it will be a lot neater. Even at that, I'm sure some lawyers will still say, let's just tweak it. We fight for our clients.
Yeah.
But so now that we've talked about law is fantastic, because how important for you is legal guidance now in your career? Is it a thing where I'm sure at a point, as you said, you just get a contract, you just sign it because let's just do this. But now is it a thing where, what is it to you, legal?
It's very important. So for me, I feel like, depending on what I'm doing, I know the things to look out for. At least like the basic few things to look out for. But then context is also very important. And sometimes the lawyers that you're working with have to have the context of what you're doing and what you want and what you're going for. Because I can't just receive a contract and tell somebody to go and read it for me and achieve, because you have to understand what I want to achieve and what you have to kind of understand my intentions, because my intentions then guide what I'm looking out for. Do you get, if say someone gives me a deal for a 15-track album, in maybe 2 15-track albums in 2 years, and you as a lawyer might think that that's fine, but I know that I want to make maybe 4 albums in that period, or I want to make 1 album in that period, whatever. I have to have that context. So I think the most important thing for me is being able to translate my context to
your lawyers.
Yeah, the lawyers I'm working with, so that it's kind of easier for them to carry on, doing things without me. And also, the lawyers should, well, for me, it's like also working with people that have experience in exactly what it is that I'm trying to achieve and what I'm trying to close.
Definitely. I think if as a lawyer you get a contract from your client, you do need to know what your client wants. Does your client, you could think it's fine, but your client may be like, it's fine, but I don't want it.
Yeah.
And it's now your job to now translate what you've received into what your client expects, make it up to their standards, and said negotiate the best for your clients.
Yeah. Yeah. So all that is important.
But you said earlier that you think some young people feel like, oh, they can't afford lawyers, therefore they just leave it. Did that contribute to something you said before about how sometimes you just say take your wahala and go? Was that point ever a contributing factor to?
Not necessarily. I think that for me is just like yeah, no, that for me is more like, if somebody like is, like over dragging like small details, I feel like that time can be better served doing something else, or creating more than arguing over. So what I feel like, if someone is arguing between like 55 and 60, at the end of the day, it's just one of us is just going, none of us is going to be poor from this or rich from this. It's just one person is just going to have a little bit more than the other. And to me, I don't really think that matters so much. Yeah, so that, I don't think, for me, that was not a contributing factor.
Right.
But that is a contributing factor.
For a lot, for a lot of people, it is a reality, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, as you said, lawyers, there's a scariness, I think, if you're not familiar with the process.
Yeah.
I don't know why we have this rep outside.
You don't know.
But I think, yes, as lawyers, I think we should try and work towards changing that narrative. So, as you've spoken about some blockchain, some AI references, but AI is now here to stay. Some say fortunately, some say unfortunately. It is our reality. And now with generative AI, people are making music, people are making all manner of things with it. What do you think of generative AI in the first place?
I think it's amazing. I embrace technology generally. It can definitely make your life easier and can help you do things. I don't have much of an opinion apart from the fact that it's great. I know a lot of musicians kind of like look down on it and don't like it and don't like the idea of it. But if you look over time, the amount of technology that there has been and has just aided people to be more creative and to do more things. And I think that will be the same.
Yeah.
It will be a tool that will help people to create. It already is. People are creating so much faster and so much better because of AI.
So I agree with you completely. I think it's a tool, like I said, it's a disruptor.
Yeah.
When the internet came, I'm sure people too thought it was scary. But now because of the internet, Nigeria music is a global brand.
Yeah, I mean, even something like animation.
Yes.
Animation, like, there'll probably be less actors or something, but
they're still doing, yeah. I mean, it's like, to take it way back, at some point in history, there were village criers, there were people who were going to knock on your window to wake you up. I'm sure they cried when they made the alarm clock. But,
oh my God.
oh my God, I've lost my job. But
what am I going
to do? Society, we've now, thank God for alarm clocks.
Yeah.
So I think, but what I would like to ask is, what do you think of copyright existing in AI generated?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that because it's a very interesting field of how I want to know what the final conclusion is going to be. So I really have no clue what it's going to be and how people are going to feel, because at the end of the day, like, really and truly, I can sit down here and make 100 songs today and I'm not using anybody's IP. Like, anybody that exists, the only person's IP is the software producer, really. But but then if I'm the person that then set the prompts for what should be created, does that now mean that I'm the creator? If yes, we move. I mean, so I really don't know how it's going to end up.
Yeah, because there've been a lot of discussions on this. There's people who have, like you said, the copyright in anything that's generated should lie with the software producer because they made the software.
Yeah.
Some have said that no, nobody should have copyright because nobody created it.
As well.
Some have said that copyright should exist in the prompters who do it. And it's been like, I think in America, there was a case where someone made an AI picture and they tried to get copyright in the picture, but they tried to get it in the name of the AI. And the American courts were like, no, this is not going to be a thing. And a key thing they said then was that humanity is, I'm now paraphrasing, but basically was that humanity is a necessary tool for copyright.
Yeah, okay.
And there was somebody else who he made another picture. He put, I can't remember how many prompts, but like over hundreds of prompts to generate a picture. And they claimed there was no copyright. But he was like, all the efforts I've done in putting in these prompts should count for something.
Yeah.
And they were like, no.
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that, but I think it has to be like in between the technology and the creator, somewhere in the middle, that the answer will be. But then again, like, the software that we use to make music now don't get any credit for the music that is being made. Yeah, so I really don't know what that's gonna end up. But it's very interesting.
I think it will be interesting to see when society, the dynamic thing.
But I can tell you today, people are using AI to make music and they're releasing it on streaming platforms and they're making money. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, they're using it to make things on YouTube, like news, what they call them, like these faceless videos. Like, say I wanted to make a how to make shoes. I'll just go to a natural language processing model, put in some prompts, it makes a video, make animation with another tool, boom, 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 put it on YouTube, and make it money.
Yeah, it's like I went to a conference and someone was saying about how AI has, to them, changed the game for like film pitches.
Yeah.
If you want to make a film, instead of having to now go and hire actors, actresses to do the pilot, you just create on AI, bam, bam, and show the studio. You've not spent that much money. So if they don't pick up your pilot, you've not lost.
Yeah.
And now pitches will just be, can make a whole film and say this is what it will look like when it's done. And they can now see, okay, this is what I want to invest in because I can see the final product.
Yeah, treatment.
Something. Yeah. So I think it's very interesting to see how AI and entertainment grow together. Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully the laws will keep evolving to protect people. Yeah. Because a key consideration right now is that with AI, generative AI uses other people's source material to an extent. That's what people who are against are saying, that it uses other people's source material. Therefore, how can you own copyrights? It's a very
but how much of people's source material is it? Like, if I'm using 1% of 100 people's materials to make 100%, then it doesn't register. Because with music now, you use parts of other people's sound a lot. I'm not even talking about sampling. I'm saying, like, you hear something, you hear language, and you hear what somebody else has said, and you put all that together to create something.
But some people get upset by that. I saw Omale that said that someone stole his sound.
Oh,
so there are people who they feel
you can be upset by it, but do you have rights?
That's unfortunately, I don't think so. But okay, I think we're coming to the end of this. But just to end, what final changes do you want to see in the Nigerian music industry and with IP, just going forward in the future?
In the Nigerian music industry, I want to see us do more. A publishing rights association. I want to see people get more for their publishing. So that's the main thing I'd want. Okay. Nigerian.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in today.
You're welcome.
That's been all from ALP Talks. And please join our next session. And happy World IP Day.
Happy World IP Day. What I say.
Thank you.